Hey happy campers, welcome back to Wreck at Home. My name is Miss Lizzie and I'm going to be showing you how to make these tinfoil medals. I was thinking we could make these in conjunction with Miss Jen's project that's going to take you on your very own amazing race. So let's get started. Now, medals and subsequently trophies have a really long history. I'm talking way back in the ancient times. And you might know them from the ancient Olympics. Back then, the winners of the Olympics would receive laurels on their head, and they were these crowns of foliage that they put on their heads. And over time, as that translated into the modern Olympics, during the first one, we actually awarded first place winners silver medals, because silver was considered a more precious metal than gold was.
Here's what you're going to need for this project. We're going to need to start off with some tinfoil, then some multicolored construction paper. You're also going to need some scissors for cutting, any sort of glue. I have a glue stick here, a blunt object like a spoon or the end of a paintbrush, some spare ribbon, yarn, or some string, and acrylic paint or some markers if you have any.
Now let's remember our 3 rules for the project. Try your best. Remember, there's no perfect in making art. Be safe. Let's respect the materials and make sure that we're using them correctly. And be kind. Let's make sure our table's covered and ask for help when you need it.
The first thing I want to work on is going to be the tinfoil part of our project. So I have the example right here, so I'm just going to try to make this exact same thing and walk you step by step. So I have a piece of tinfoil that's about, let's say, 10 inches by 10 inches. I just estimated a square when I was tearing out the aluminum foil from the container. So I'm going to take my paper and fold it a few times over. I want to make a square about as big as this thing. So I'm going to fold this into 3 parts first. And then fold it again 3 parts. I'm just estimating here. You don't really have to worry about it being perfect. There we go. Now we have a multi-layered piece of foil in form of a square. The next thing I want to do is fold in the edges so that it's more like a circle. Now that I have something kind of like a circle, I'm just going to press it down with my hands. I want it to look a little bit more like a circle, and I want it to be a little flatter than this. Alright, for this next part, I want to get that hole on here real quick. So I'm going to take my scissors and very lightly, maybe not on a hard surface like this, but I have a little coaster that I'm going to use to protect my table. I'm going to take my scissors and just kind of press them in, and I'm going to pivot my foil around it. And that's starting to make a little mark. I'm going to keep going. If you have a hole punch, feel free to use that. I unfortunately don't, so I have to get a little creative with this. There we go. So I have my hole on there that we're going to thread our ribbon through later. I want to move this aside. And next, with a blunt object or any sort of thing that has a smooth edge to it, I'm going to use that to make my design. So I'm going to put this on the palm of my hand so it has a soft surface to imprint upon. And so this process is going to make a bas-relief sculpture, which means low relief. And so that means the image that is going to be on our medal is just ever so lightly raised over the surface. So I want to make, instead of a number 1, I want to make a star. So if this is the front, I need to push from the back. So I'm going to make my design by working like I have a marker in my hand. And I'm just going to make my star formation by pressing right into my palm. I'm not working too hard, I don't want to shred my tinfoil. I'm just pressing lightly with the back of this paintbrush. For this part, you can pick anything that you want. You can make first place, second place, and third place medals. If you want to write out a name, you definitely can in this part. And so now that I've gotten a bit of my design imprinted on there, I should be able to see at least a little bit on the other side. To make that really pop, I'm going to go back in on the other side, so this is my front now, and start pressing down on the parts that aren't the star. So all around there. And I think I want to give it a border like this guy, so I'm going to ignore that edge there. I'm going to press right into everything that wasn't the star. For this part I might want a bigger one, a bigger blunt object to flatten a wider area with. And sometimes, if you can see it here, I'm pressing a little harder into the edges so that I have a cleaner line there. There we go, that looks a little better. I'm gonna actually use my coaster again and see if that helps me have a harder surface that I can press against. Oh look, that works. Sometimes you have to get creative with the ways that you're working. You modify things to make them easier for you and to make the project work a little better.
A few moments later.
Awesome. Here's a closer look. So now if you have any paint on hand, you can go in and add some details. Unfortunately, I only have a little bit of yellow paint, but fortunately, that looks like gold. So I'm gonna grab a surface that I can work on and put my paint on. This is just a piece of foil on a bottle cap that I had lying around. So you definitely don't want to put paint on the table. And I'm just gonna go in and paint over the part that is raised on my star here. And just a little paint will go a long way. It'll still let some of that shininess go through the paint. I'd recommend acrylic paint just because it's a little easier to work with. It dries fast and sticks easily to the surfaces you're working on. But tempera paint works just as well. Sharpie markers are also a really good alternative. There we go. That looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna go and wash my brush and put away the paint that I had. And now that this is ready, I want to put it aside so it can dry up. So I'm going to put that away for now. And now I'm going to grab my construction paper. Along with my construction paper, I also grabbed a glue stick and my scissors. For this step, you can definitely use different kinds of glue, even tape will work. So what I want to do is I want to grab my papers, and you can work with as many colors as you want. I'll show you a neat trick. All you need is to stack your papers, try to have them line up on the edge. And I'm trying to make this little banner. So the way this thing started was it was just a rectangle at first. So that's what I'm going to cut out right now. Holding my stacked papers and watching my fingers, I'm going to cut out a rectangle. And because these guys are stacked on top of each other, they'll make the same exact piece there. I'm going to stack these guys again, and I am going to just snip this front part right here, and I'm going to make a little triangle edge. Nice. So I'll throw away my scraps. And for this part, you have to think of a design that you want to do. So here I did just stripes, but I think for this part, I want to do a half and half color. So since they're already identical pieces, I can just decide to cut one in half. And then I can just paste it over the other color I want as the base. And then I don't have to use this piece over here, so I'm gonna set it aside. And then with my glue, I'm gonna go in and attach these. And the good thing about this is that you don't have to measure and you don't have to worry about all the edges lining up if both pieces start from the same sort of base. Put a lot of glue on there. And I'm gonna just line this up with the bottom red construction paper. There we go. I'm gonna smush it down. Alrighty. So here, the hole punch would be super helpful. Unfortunately, again, I don't have one, so I'm just going to cut a little hole with my scissors. Alright, make sure this is nice and glued down. Awesome. And so my metal by now should be pretty dry. I have the top part of my metal here. Now we're going to need our ribbon, our yarn, our string, anything that you can use to attach these two should work. So let's see, I have a little bit of pink ribbon left over from another project here. I'm just going to loop it through the back of my construction paper and then through the back of my medal. To make it go and fit through this little hole, I just folded my ribbon. I'm pushing it through, grabbing it there, and then I'm just going to tie a ribbon here. So all that is a simple bunny ears knot. Just one easy knot, and then I make 2 bunny ears, and then I let them cross over one another like this, and then I pull. Nice! I've got the base for my award here. So I can put anything I want up here. I think I'm going to award this to my cat, so let me grab a marker.
And here is my finished tinfoil medal. I'm going to see what my cat thinks about this.
If you're having trouble with the bas-relief part of the project, you could consider not doing that step and instead just using paint to make your design. And if this construction paper part is a little too hard or you don't have access to scissors, you could also consider using just a ribbon or some string to hang your medal around your neck like a normal medal.
What medal would you like to be awarded to you? Can't be the best cat in the universe. That title's taken. See you next time.